What up? What up? How y'all doing? Happy Friday. I hope you guys are having a great day. Hope you guys had a positive day. Um Today we're going to be doing a Thermashock walkthrough, a track breakdown of the brand new single Thermashock that came out last Friday. If you guys have not heard this track, well, let me give you a little taste. That's just a little taste of what is already out and available on all DSPs. If you guys have not heard the single, please go check it out. It's available on Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, Amazon Music, Pandora, you name it. Any DSP, it's on YouTube Music, SoundCloud, all of them. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you guys a walkthrough of the entire track of Thermashock, breaking down the sound design that came to play with this particular track. If you guys have joined the live in the past, you guys could see that I've made this track in real time on live. There's 3 parts to it. If you guys want to see those lives, just go to the lives section of my YouTube channel and just scroll down until you see Thermashock part 1, 2, and 3. And there's also a artwork. There's also a live where I made the artwork from scratch. The thumbnail is pretty much the Thermashock cover. So, and there's, I think it's a 2-part artwork situation. But yeah, if I'm mistaken, I think the first 2 parts of Thermashock is linked with one of the track breakdowns of Soultronic's Hiatus Book 1. I think Exile and um I can't quite remember what the other track is, but anyway, but it's in the title. It'll just say Thermashock Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3. So if you guys want to see exactly how I made this track in real time, go check out those previous lives. But today, I thought it would be great to just go ahead and create a walkthrough of the entire track for those who did miss me making those tracks, the track from scratch. You can at least see exactly how everything was made and arranged, and what I did. So let me stop rambling and let's get into it. Let's go into Logic 11. So here we are. This is the project file that we made on live of Thermashock in all its glory. So again, if you haven't heard the song, check it out. It's available anywhere. So what we're going to do is that we're going to just we're going to go section by section, and we're going to listen. We're going to have a cold listen first, and then we're going to break down everything that's happening. So let's start out with the intro. So this intro right here. I think I did this. I added this part a little later into making the track. So let's break down exactly what's going on here. So, and also this track is kind of like the first track that I have out in 2025. And this is the first track that I kind of displayed the capabilities of Serum 2. So you'll you'll see a lot of Serum 2s going on. So, and speaking of, here's the first Serum 2. We're looking at this particular sound right here. Um, I don't forgot what key it's in. I think it's in, oh, it's the key of C. Oh, that's a layer. So this is the main patch. Um This is a preset in Serum 2 called Effects Sweep and Rise. The reason why I call it that is because it's like a sweep down and then there's like a little rise towards the end there, about halfway. And the I should probably save that, but the audio that's in the granulator is this sample that I made from my alien transformation pack that it's not released yet, but it's in one of my packs. I just kind of threw it in there, and I didn't really do too much in the front page here, but in the effects tab we got a few things going on. um we have a delay in the milliseconds and it's linked and it's like high 400 something seconds, milliseconds. And um and we got this reverb plate, which the size is extremely high, the width is out of 100, and the mix is, let me turn on the fan here. It is quite warm in the studio right now. um Mix is at 38%. Anything like past like 50, um it will become like very washed out sounding. Shout out to y'all, the little Timmies. How y'all doing, man? Hope you guys are doing well. Um, then we got an equalizer here, just to boost on the high shelf and high mids. We got a distortion, a soft clip, which is the drive is at 100. The mix is also at 100. I like using the soft clip if I'm just trying to bring out more of those harmonics without having any kind of any kind of artifacts or any kind of mix down issues. If you use like a tube distortion or even a diode or a hard clip distortion, you might get those artifacts. It really is not pleasant to the ear, so I use a soft clip, so it just kind of really smooth out the audio with that. And then we got a compressor that has a multi-band mode on with a threshold of negative 7 and a gain of 3 dBs. And I think that's it. Yeah, the only thing is just the LFO1 modulating the length of what happens when I press and hold the note. So yeah, that's the main patch. And there's more processing happening here. There's a pitch map that I have. It's C chromatic with a little bit of purify, a little bit of a feel, and a little bit of threshold. It's and I custom wrote these in. So yeah, it's just these. It's in the key. It's in the key of E actually. So E major, I believe. So I decided to hand write these instead of using the key transformation function. And then I have some chromoverb with the delay decay of 6 seconds, almost 7. Dry and wet, 150% with this little slope going on here. And a channel EQ that gets rid of the low end. So then we have this one up here, um, which is evidently a different kind of sound that's on the top end. Which is a very softer sound, but it's an impulse response from Azora and Chime's sample pack, I believe, that I used in the granulator and the spectral oscillators right here. Not much going on. We have an LFO that's managing the levels and the length of the grains. And then in the effects, this is a simple reverb tail. Doing well, Matt. We just finished a track that we'll be releasing tomorrow. It took We took some notes from your album review. I think you'll like it. Oh, okay, great. That's actually perfect because tomorrow I'm doing some reactions. Well, I say some. I'm doing a reaction to a YouTube video. So definitely we'll look out for that, man. Is it going on SoundCloud or just YouTube or both? All right, so oh, and then at the bottom, we have this reverse impact here, which derived from this impact kick that we'll talk about in a sec. So I like using reverse impacts because it gives like this feel of unease and something's big is about to happen. SoundCloud, YouTube, and Bandcamp. Okay. All right, cool. I can't wait to listen to it. I can't wait. All right, let's move on to the next section. All right. So now this is like a pre-build up to the chorus right here. So this is like an intro. So this was like the pre-intro. This was like the intro slash pre-build up section right here. All right, let's start at the top and go to the bottom. So we got this church choir. Very simple. This is the church choir that's native to Logic 11. You will find it in the choir section right here. And I just have a chroma verb that's just giving it some more life. And then the sampler, I just kind of gave it a little less of a release and a little more of an attack, so that when you go to like the next, like you hit the next note, it doesn't clip out and just hit the next note. It'll smoothly go to it. So that's what I like to use. I know that there's better choir sounds, like if you have like a contact library plugin that you can use better choir, or just choir plugins in general. But I mean, like, I'm not looking for anything like too realistic, you know. This is something that just got the job done regardless. So, so there's that. Now we got this guy right here, um, which is Magic Dust. This is my favorite thing of a textual element to put in my music nowadays. Magic Dust. This is a lot of fun. I spoke about how I made this before, but I couldn't run through it again. So this is using Serum 1. Simple sine wave, and that is it. This is just to get a sound, a signal. So, and now M transformer is pretty much the driving force. If we turn off all of this stuff, right? Um, M transformer, this is by Melda Productions. This is a really cool plugin to get very spectral sounds, glittery sounds. So if I play it, that's what it sounds like. If it was just a sine wave and just this plugin, it just sounds like a bunch of spectral mess. No specific pitch or anything like that. It's just all over the place, right? So we have that, right? And then we get a frequency shifter, which is at -5 kilohertz. Reason I put it at -5 because it takes away all that low end that we don't need and just focuses on the high. I could just high pass it, but I figured like this works too. So now to give it some color, I added two things. I added a resonator that is at E minor chord to give it like a to really focus on those resonant peaks. And then I added chroma at the end, which is in the key of E major. Or, yeah, I think so. E major or minor. It's one of those two. So then with some chroma verb, give it some more, like the chroma verb is a reverb. It's a native plugin to Logic 11. Give it some more spatial sound. And in this reverb, the decay is like at 15 seconds, which is a long decay time. And I turned the dry all the way down to zero, so you don't hear the initial hit of the transients of the sound, and you just hear the wet is at 100%, and all you hear is just the washed out sound, the tail of the sound, and it really creates this beautiful, like, magical kind of pad situation. And then with some soothe and just making sure that keeping the EQ, the low end, down, it has more of a very luscious sound, nice shimmer. I appreciate you, man. Welcome to the stream. We're doing a track breakdown of my latest track that came out this Friday, or this past Friday, I should say. So that's how I make the patch magic dust. I like to use it as a textural background situation in my tracks nowadays. All right, the next thing is this thing called pad, and it's called air. So this is a Serum 2 sound. This is a pad that I made in Serum 2. Um, there is a few things going on, not too much. So how did I make this? Well, first thing I did is I got a saw wave, an oscillator A, and an oscillator B. An oscillator A, I gave it a 15 voice unison right here, and I detuned it a fairly amount, probably like just halfway detuned with this much blend. And I gave it a sync with I think this is a full window sync right here, um, or maybe no window. I can't remember which one is which, but and it creates like this little extra curve here. So, and then I did the same thing with this saw wave, but just one voice. Uh-oh, what happened to my lights? It just got dark. There we go. Um, I don't know what I don't know what happened there, but yeah, so this is a saw wave, just one voice unison, so this one's a very mono sound. And I have a sync on here, but it's just to give it this effect right here. I didn't, move it any way, shape, or form. And then I have this noise oscillator that's open, and I put it to wind chimes, which is in the organics section. It's the last preset there. Um, and let's just turn off uh, well, I don't have to turn any of these off, but I will just explain on the way. The wind chimes give it like this nice little twinkly high end that I really like. It makes it very magical. And I have it routed to the second filter, which has a slight dip in the high end. I low pass it a little bit. Um, and just because some parts are kind of harsh, and I pitched it down to about around just 46%. Normally the pitch is at like 50, so I just pitched it down just a little bit just to get like really those pronounced twinkly sounds. If I turn off oscillator A and B, then you can really hear those twinkly sounds. And that's it for the front. I mean, the envelope one, I gave it this small little attack so that it can move on to the next note or chord that I'm playing very quickly, but a long release tail. And then in the effects section, I started off with a reverb, plate mode. This is probably my favorite mode to use when it comes to Serum's reverbs. I gave it the size, a really high size, almost to 70%, 100% width, and a little bit of mix, about almost 40% on the mix. Pre-delay off, a little damp, 25%. And then I got a splitter, the low, mids, and highs splitter. And all I did is I put a delay on the highs. I gave it, I linked both the left and right and gave it an eighth note ping pong effect, which is really nice just for the top end. An equalizer, a little boost in the high shelf, and a compressor to kind of glue it all together. Multi-band, -9 dBs. Um, and that's pretty much how this pad is created. And then I, you know, went back and gave it some soothe to really cut off those really harsh frequencies that are coming through in the mid and mid highs, and then a little EQ, little high shelf boost on the high end with the EQ. So, so there's that sound. Now, there is this sound right here. This is a very subtle sound that you hear, but the reason why I put it here is because it acts as a teaser. So this teases the next section. So if I solo it, so this comes from this. This is a patch called Saw Base 2, and this is automated. I did a little automation from a low filter to a more opened filter here. Uh, a low pass that opens up a little bit in the 2000 range. Yeah, that's the only automation. So you won't be able to really hear. Oh, let me go down. We'll hear the full effect of it later on. So I will save this when we get to the chorus. I will save the breakdown of that when we get to the chorus. But that's there. Um, Also, there is a EQ cutoff of the low and the high to give it that very filtered sound. But then we get to this. All right, this is a drone base that I made in Serum 2. There's a little bit of a high pass automation going on right there towards the end to really intensify the moment. If we open up Serum 2 here, this is a drone base that I made this patch and I slightly altered it for the sake of this track. Yeah, there's a few things going on here, so let's talk about what's going on. First things first, we got a saw wave, and then we have, I believe, a square wave and a sine wave. So we got the three building blocks of sounds here. So starting with the saw wave, I gave it a two voice unison. Um, with a small detune and random at 100%. With a some saturation of the distortion, I used tube mode to give it like a very saturated kind of look, and signfold just barely like, or actually there's not even any signfold on this. Oh yeah, there is. Elephone 1, this gives it like a saturation, just I want to say 12%. So 12% on the signfold, and then 60 to 94 on the tube distortion. And on the square wave, we just put it on tube mode for distortion, and that goes the same for the sine wave itself. This square wave has a 7 voice unison with a slight detuned as well. Notice how all of these are in the same octave. So but this sign has a direct out so that none of the effects can bother it. So this oscillator C acts as its own sub. I don't really use the sub oscillator often in Serum 2 because I like that I can just use the extra oscillator to use as a designated sub because it has more functionalities to really get a nice clean sub and or a, you know, you can kind of make your sub more gritty if you want to. It's just more options, right? I mean, this is cool too. This is fine for like a very simple sound that, the sub doesn't really need much going on. But to give your sub more distortion and or more saturation, I would most likely would just use oscillator C or the extra oscillator for Serum 2 for your sub, or just make a separate sub for the sound. It doesn't really matter. All right, so we got our noise oscillator. We got it on white noise. We have the filter up 76%, level up 42%. And we also have filter 1 on for the saw wave. Because the saw wave has a two-voice unison, um, we gave it a small little band pass filter just to create like a very just to create like some movement in there. And then I didn't use this for anything, but this was the original modulation for the original patch of the sound, but I took it off for more control because this gave it like a rhythmic pattern, like if you press and hold it. But anyway, and then filter two I have for the oscillator B and the noise oscillator. I gave it like a little low pass boost in the drive, but a small little dip in the cutoff right here. I think that's just, yeah, I think that's just the default of what it looks like. But I think the filter itself that's doing the work is the filter in the effects section. Yeah, LFO2, I mean, nothing's happening with this other than it's just a quarter note. And then this is a bar. So that's pretty much it on the first page here. Oh, I also have in the voicing section mono, legato, and portamento time always on, and I gave it like a portamento time of 34 milliseconds. So when I press and hold a note and then press another note, there's like a slight pitch bend that gives it a lot of kind of a groove to it, and it sounds more natural. So let's go into the effects section here. We have a convolver. I took one of Chime's ASMR samples from his sample pack along with Ace Auras and imported in this convolver, and I have LFO1 modulating the pre-delay of this convolver with the mix up and the IR gain a little bit up, gave it some tonality and 100% size. I think that's the default. And then on top of the convolver, or at least underneath, I gave it a reverb plate, the size all the way down, but the mix up for that metallic tail at the end. And you don't really hear it much because since it is a drone bass, you don't really hear like that after tail sound. I think that's the convolver and the reverb working together on that. If I were to get rid of them, yeah. So with the reverb and convolver working together, it has like that nice tail at the end. I really like it. So we got this equalizer that's boost up the high shelf and then high pass the lows and the low mids. We have a distortion overdrive with 4 stacks. We got the drive up 62%, the mix down 28%, close to 30%, just to give a little bit of distortion, thickening up the sound. Next, we have the filter, which is a MG Low 24 low pass filter, which also it's modulating something. I see a little tick here. Let me go to the matrix tab. Macro 1. Okay, okay. So macro 1 is modulating the cutoff. There's a filter band. Okay, I was talking about this earlier. So yeah, I can change the filter, the low pass filter, however I want. This basically acts as the cutoff. So that's what that's doing. And right now it's right here. So it's just cutting off the highs and the mids and just keeping the low mids and the lows. And then to end it off, we have a multi-band compressor with a -9 dB and a little boost in the gain. So that's the patch itself. And then just another channel EQ that will high pass the lows and some of the low mids, just to make sure that none of that low frequency comes through. But, oh, I see. The marker was like up here. But there is a sub that's underneath, and then it automates to the sub leaving towards the end. So there's that. Is there anything else? Yes, we have the impact kicks, which is a simple kick with a lot of reverb on it. It's just a regular kick with serum effects, reverb on it, and a chroma verb to follow suit with a 6-second decay, and a channel EQ that is just high passing the sides of the low end, and then just a regular EQ that low pass the highs and the mids to give it more of a boomy filtered effect. And I rendered this out as audio, and then I duplicated it and reversed one of them to give it that very like suspenseful sound. And then the drums that creeps in. Another impact rise right here. All right, now we're in the chorus. So let's talk about it. We got my signature keytar sound in here. This is the keytar that I used in my previous track that I released last year, Resurgence. And I really like the sound, I really like how I crafted that keytar sound in that track, that so much so that I saved it as the Resurgence keytar. And I started to use this as my leads lately. So yeah, so this is a keytar that I made for Resurgence. This is using Serum 1. It's just a saw wave with a +1 octave, 9 voice unison, some detuning, blending, just making sure that the main sound, the main voice is higher than all the other duplicate voices here. With a sync window, um, this is sync window full. So, and in the effects, we got distortion, drive all the way up. It's in tube mode, mix all the way up, and then an EQ that boosts of the high shelf right here. And with kilohertz distortion, I use the quantized mode distortion. I love using quantize to give like those really crunchy sounds with the drive at an astronomical almost 18 decibel boost in the drive, 17.51 decibel with what do you call this? Bias. I think that's how you say it. Bias. Negative 39%. on that. Then we have kilohertz dual delay. We have it at 200 milliseconds um, at this ratio. Everything else here is pretty much, this is like the default settings of the kilohertz dual delay. Then with some chroma verb just to um, give it some more life, and then an EQ, the high pass to low ends, and low pass some of the highs just to keep those really harsh frequencies out of the range. So yeah, that's the guitar. And then this is a combination. I think this is a combination. Yeah, it's a combination with the pad air and the magic dust together, and they're going at the same chord. So that's all this is. So I won't go over that. All right. So bass saw 2, saw bass 2. So this sound. So this sound is a favorite of mine that I made in Serum 2. So let's talk about it. Again, like I said before, this is the same sound that crept up in the build up right here. So now we're talking about the design of this. So this is something that I wished I could do in Serum 1, but because of the limitations in Serum 1, this sound couldn't really be possible in the way how I wanted to sculpt it. But now since Serum 2 is here, it's very possible. So what's happening in the sound? There's a few things going on. It's not really too bad. It's actually quite simple. So you get a saw wave for both oscillator A and B, and then a sine wave on oscillator C. Notice Notice that there isn't any direct out for the sine because this acts as a sub, but there's a reason for that. And then you have the white noise oscillator on with the white color on, and filter is on. Filter is like at 70%, but the level is at 100. Um, and all of these are routed. Oscillators A through C is all routed to filter 1. Oh, even the noise oscillator, you can see all of them kind of punched in here. And we have LFO1 that's modulating the cutoff. So this is the main shape of the sound. Then you have oscillator 2 that's modulating the octaves of oscillator B, and I think that's the only thing. Yeah, it's just the one thing. Yeah, so what happens is you hear oscillator B is one octave higher than A and C, but what's happening here with LFO2, it's actually going from octave 1 to like octave 4 and then back to octave 1. But because everything is filtered down, you don't really hear the steps of going through those octaves, but you hear like the after sounds of them a little bit and gives it like this nice, how would you say, um, quantized sound of those octaves. And it also gives it like a brass feeling, but we'll get to that in a sec. So oscillator A, we have a 15 voice unison detuned, some blend, and then oscillator B, 7 voice unison, same situation. And then the sine wave, this is our sub essentially, 1 voice unison, no detune necessary. This is the only one that has a distortion on here with tube mode on for saturation purposes. So that's pretty much, and then we have the rate and cutoff, but I don't think I really used this for anything. I mean, obviously the rate is the rate of oscillator one's rates, I believe. Yeah, and then the cutoff is for, I want to say for the effects section back here, I think, what's this cutoff for? Let me go to the matrix, LFO bus one. Oh, it's this. So the cutoff is just opening and closing this shape. So if the cutoff is high, this peak will go up and it'll make the sound more open. But if it's low, it will create a more sharper dip, almost like a stabbing motion. It'll make it sound like a pluck sound. So in the effects section in the back right here, we have distortion tube drive at 90%, mix at 56%. We have an equalizer with a boost in the high end. We have a reverb plate mode with a little size, some mix in the mix. 30% mix almost, width at 100%, 30% on the damp. We have a multi-band compressor with a negative 7.3 dB with a boost of the gain about 3.4 dB decibels in the gain. And then another equalizer to give a small dip in the low end right here, a small little dip in the low shelf right there. And that is pretty much it. And then you're left with this artificial brass sound. So when I made this, I didn't make this for this track. I just made it and saved it. So this is one of those sounds that I came back to and just made a whole marching band anthem kind of structure with this sound. So and then that's pretty much it on this section. I mean, you have some crashes and some hi-hats here, which is nothing special. And then you have the drums down here, which I mean, again, nothing special here. I could note I could note something about that snare though. This is yeah, this snare I got it's DSA. I forgot where I got this snare from, but I got it from somewhere. It's most likely Splice. Um, on top of my snare that has like this. Yeah, that's that, and then you have this sound. I got that snare from Splice. I can't remember who. I can't remember what pack, but it's there. All right. All right. Now for the build up. We're getting to the exciting part. We're almost there, but we got to get through it. Honestly, once we're done with the drops and stuff, then everything else afterwards is just kind of like a copy and paste, so we don't have to go through as much towards the tail end of the track. It's always in the beginning of track breakdowns where you have to explain everything, but then once you get to like the middle of the track, that's when you start to reuse stuff from the beginning of the track and just slightly skew it and slightly change it. So there's, you know, there won't be as much to explain towards the end of the track, but we're not there yet, but we're getting there. So let's start from right here. We got this. So this is the same saw bass too, except the only difference is the only difference is the rate is faster. And I took the reverb off because we don't need that. Took the reverb off to get more of a dry sound. Everything about this is still the same. And yeah, this gives it more of a sharper sound because it's going so fast. So that's really the only difference with this. There's this little sound. Which is this is like a very quick sound that I made just for aesthetic purposes. This is more for like a textural situation. I didn't really put too much thought into making this sound. This is a bleep fade wavetable from the subscribers pack 5 that you get from I believe Vital. Yeah, I think it's Vital. Yeah, these are Vitals. So the subscriber pack 5 from Vital, and I used Bleep Fade. I like using this wavetable because it has like those inharmonic basses, inharmonic sounds in there. That's like a nice layer to put on top of your bass. And I gave it some distortion with tube mode here and a two voice unison with the random at 100. And in the effects section, honestly, I just slapped some bode on there, gave it a bunch of feedback and a little bit of blur. That's the, if I turn off everything, that's what it sounds like in its raw form. Then when we get to some more processing here, we have a, let me just turn off one by one. So we got a chroma verb with a lot of decay, auto pan, and just to clean it up, some soothe, and just to clean up the low end. These sounds I like to call transitional sounds. This helps with transitions, and yeah, it's just a nice touch. All right, so now we have some audio here. Let's take a listen to one of them. This is very subtle. It's in the background, but it's there. You can probably listen if you really listen closely to the build-up. You can probably hear the little transient sounds happening right here. This bass is called Micro Generator. Even though it doesn't sound like a bass, this is the actual um, MIDI actual channel for it. This is, yes, again, made in Serum 2, which is missing something. I hate when this. So recently, I've been dealing with some of my Serum 2 patches missing information, and I don't know like how to like I could press search, but it won't find it. I don't know if this is like a, oh, you know what? This is probably like a, it's not a sample that I got from a pack or anything. I think this is like a sound that I just grabbed from right here and then resampled it in Serum. So I think that's what it is. But this is essentially, this is essentially what the sound is. I don't know what I'm missing from here, but I'm pretty sure it would accentuate the sound even more if I had it. I wish that um uh it's not going to be able to search it. So there's going to be there's a few patches that are like this um that it's just not going to save it, but it's okay. But luckily I um made it into audio and not kept it at MIDI, or else it would sound a little bit different. But so there's that. There's this little background texture sound right here. And then we have Alien Transformation, which is one of my favorites. So what's happening here? Well, this is also from this patch here. It's actually a phase plant sound. So yeah, this is Alien Transformation 4, an effect that I made in Faceplant. I don't know if I don't think I made it on stream, but um this is a really nice textural sound that you can put in the background of your songs. Um this is just a it's just one of those Faceplant presets that I was just trying things out, seeing what works and what doesn't work. And then I ended up with this. I did go over this Alien Transformation 4 before on stream. I'm pretty sure I did, but I can give you guys a really quick rundown because there is a lot that's going on here. There's a lot of FMing going on for sure. So initially, this is a sine wave. This is also a sine wave. This sine wave is modulating the harmonics to this sine wave. Um, and this sine wave is being randomized by this sample and hold random LFO right here. So that's why this sine wave looks so crazy. Okay, so just to give that, and then I have a filter here that's cutting off the low end, so it takes away the sub and anything else. And then this is just a designated sub. Nothing's happening, but it's all going to lane one, so it's okay. So now in lane one, we have distortion, quantized, drive all the way up to damn near 100, mix all the way up, and that's pretty much it for the distortion. We have a comb filter with a plus polarity, 61 hertz, and the mix all the way up. We have a dual delay with a 40 milliseconds, and a 0.20 ratio. I'm assuming that's what that means. Um, we have a filter that's being modulated by both LFOs here, which one is going at this very plucky instance, and the other one is going like a more open instance. So this one is modulating this random, and this one is modulating that random, just to give more movement and more randomization within the sound. And it's all being tied by this one filter here with a 6 slope filter slope, just to give a very sharp sound. We have snap heap here. We have a negative combs. This is a snap heap that I made as well. All it is just a group with about 14 comb filters, all is which being modulated by macro 1, and it's macroing the frequency right here. They're all minus in the negative polarity with a compressor and limiter just to keep the sound from not going too crazy. And this is the macro knob that, controls the frequency shift of the comb filter. So this is also being modulated by this random sample and hold right here, and it's only going in the positive polarity. Um, we have a reverb. This mix is also being randomized. Everything else is pretty much the same by default. We have a multipass here. This is one that I made as well. This is just a one filter table that is being randomized by 3 different parameters. One of this sample and hold is randoming the cutoff. This sample and hold is randomizing the resonance, and then this sample and hold is randomizing the wavetable. Whereas this is so the cutoff, resonance, and wavetable is all like right here, and you can see the randomization. So all these are modulated to their macros, whereas the sample and hold is being modulated, or the macros is being modulated by the sample and holds. So I know that was a lot to say. So yeah, that's there. Some more distortion, but this time with overdrive, with a powerful drive of almost plus 16 decibels, mix all the way up, and then a compressor to kind of compress everything. So yeah, that's pretty much the breakdown of this. So that's how you get like very nice alien transformation sounds. So that's what that is. And then this has a little bit more processing. It's just an auto pan to just give it some more life. There was a Serum 2 effects on there, but I didn't really like it, so I just kind of took it off. And then I also got rid of some more low end if more came back into the mix. More saw bass action. This must be a layer for this one. Yeah, this is probably another layer. And we have this little sleeper. Now this is a teaser bass for the next section. Um, yeah, we'll get to you in a sec. We'll get to you in a sec. I'll save you for the drop. Then we got these cinematoms, which you know, it came from this, which is a sampler that I found like the cinematom drum one shot, and I put it in a sampler, and it gave it some OTT, some brightness, and basically try to process it to make it sound as realistic as possible. Although it still sound digital and synthesized, but it got the job done. So, you know. All right, so now we have some percussions that helps with the build up. We got some claps, which comes from this MIDI. I mean, this is Serum. This is the clap preset I made in Serum 1. It's just noise with ARP white with the pitch all the way up, and LFO1 creating this obscured shape, which looks like three transients and a tail, but the speed is anchored at like 6.2 hertz, which is very fast, with a bandpass 12 right here, compressor, and low high pass EQ right here, and then some kilohertz distortion for saturation, chroma verb to give it like that extra brightness, and stereo width with OTT to kind of calm it down, and then an EQ to get rid of the lows and the low mids and maintain some of the mids and mid highs and highs. So that's how this clap came about. So that's the clap. We got this guy. This I just found. This is a loop from somebody, Zen Rock. I don't know, but I love the percussions on this, so I just kind of used it. Reverb riser. I've said this a lot in my previous rock walkthroughs. I mean, it's nothing really special. Oh, this is there's no MIDI for this because this is actually a saved audio stem from a sample from my sample pack. So I just dragged it, dropped it in here. So, but all it is just if I remember correctly, the reverb riser is just saw waves that's detuned. Saw waves that are detuned with some reverb, and it just pitches up. You can automate it to just pitch up. That's all that is. Impact kick and drums for more build-up effects. Okay, let's get into it. I forgot to talk about this guy. This is the pre... So just like how this one already kind of teases it a little bit, this one is definitely a tease. Because the next section... Oops. There we go. All right, now we're to the fun part. I love this. So now let's go from top to bottom. As you can see, the drop is there's not much going on in the drop. You would think from like a very well established producer that you would have like 150 channels worth of layering of basses and background and foreground and panning left and right. Sometimes that's cool, right? But sometimes simplicity and good mixdown can get you far and leave you less CPU troubles. And this is how I make this specific bass right here. Not that one, this one. Yeah, and I like this motif right here. I'll kind of... And this is the same bass from earlier in the chorusy section of it. So let's talk about this FM Rhythm 4 preset in Serum 2. and I believe I made this on stream. I can't remember. Crunch, yes, very crunchy. I can't remember if I made this on stream or not, but um, here it is. This is there's actually five, no, six versions of this. So because I really love the sound, and it's really not much going on here. It's just understanding exactly what you want to hear and executing it the best way possible. So, um, what did we do here? We got a oscillator A with a sine wave, and that is it. Nothing else to it. This is a very important piece of the sound design of getting that crunch, and I can explain in a minute. There's no, it's actually going to filter one, but filter one and two isn't even on. So, um, never mind that. And then oscillator B, this is a wavetable that I made myself. I want to say I made this last year or maybe 2 years ago, but it's called Harmonix 9. How I make these wavetables, honestly, is like you just go into the wavetable editor and you just make a bunch of frames, and I can actually demonstrate this really quickly. Um, let's just initialize the preset. So to make those kind of harmonics, you can just go into the wavetable editor and just clear all. Actually, don't even do that. Just, well, you can also remove uh current index. Oh no, not that. Remove multi-section. So now you're just left with one frame. Okay, so to make like these really cool harmonics wavetables is you can, I typically like to zoom out. Uh-oh. And just pick like random like points, random binaries, and then just go to the next frame. I typically I typically just make 7 of them, right? So now if we go through the wavetables here, that's really it. And then go to all and just normalize everything. Uh, don't remove the fundamental, just keep it. Um, and then go to morph, do a spectral morph. And now when you go through the waves, you get like this really nice harmonic sounding wavetable, inharmonic sounding wavetable. So that's really how I made that. So that's Harmonix 9. I gave it a voice 15 voice unison, detuned the hell out of it. All the way up. Like the detune is all the way up. Okay? I gave it a saturation of distortion using tube mode, turned up the distortion all the way up. Or maybe not. I probably kept that at 99. And I have oscillator C, which acts as a sub with direct out on with a little bit of tube distortion to give it a bit of saturation. So, and then we have white noise, and we have LFO1 modulating the level of the white noise. This is actually a trick that my good friend Cosmic Fluid, he showed me this really cool trick to make very buzzy subs. And all it is just taking a sine wave and white noise, and then without making the sine wave go direct out, go to the effects section, go to distortion, and just crank up the distortion, and the white noise and the sub will start to blend and give like this very buzzy effect. So that's something that he showed me, which I'm very thankful for. Shout out to you, Cosmic. Um, and he said, "Who? You're funny." Um, and that's pretty much with that. LFO2, we got this little shape here, and it's modulating the wavetable position of oscillator B and the level. So that's nothing else is going on this part. So we can just go to the effects section. In the effects section, we have distortion. Like I said, if you turn up the drive and the mix, it will start to make the crunchy sound. And the reason why you get that crunchy sound, because if I take off oscillator A, ow, sounds terrible. The reason why oscillator A is here, notice that there's no direct out on it, because it still keeps the fundamental effects of a sub, but it is high passed by this equalizer right here just a little bit. So it's not really acting as a sub. It's just there for saturation purposes. So that's why. That's why that's there. That's a little cheat code. So understanding that, I went to create a reverb with plate mode with a little bit of a size, with all the way to 100 and mix close to 30%. Equalizer, a little boost in the high shelf, a little cutoff on the lows right here, and then a multiband compression with -9 dB and a 3 plus 3 decibel on the gain. And that's literally the patch. The only thing else outside of that is a high pass on the sides so that the low end can stay mono. But yeah, that's really it. And then in this EQ, I wanted to really focus on these harmonics. That very tonal like that is right here in the 1000 hertz mark right here. More boost in the high shelf, little dip here in the 200-300 range, just to make sure that it's not too muddy. And this is a very powerful sound that it basically just takes up the entire drop. So that's why there's very little going on in the drop in terms of channels, because this sound is so powerful that you don't really need any background elements to support it. So that's it. That's how you make the FM Rhythm 5 bass. And then I like that these motifs are kind of interweaved into the drop. So then we are introduced with this guy. So this it's the same patch, except there's a little bit of a difference going on. With LFO2, it only modulated the wavetable position and the level, but now it's also modulating the octave, and it's going down, I want to say, from 0 to -2. So that's why you get that toot, 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 toot sound. And it's going eighth notes as well. So same processing like before. Nothing's really changed anything around here. It's just this is an additive texture here. And I believe in the EQ, yes, in the EQ, instead of one boost in the 1K section, the two notes are right here. So I wanted to really accentuate those sounds and just give those two a little boost, and still keeping the high shelf, and then keeping the some parts, the muddiness, just cutting out some of the mud right there. So yeah, that's really it. That's the only difference between that sound and that sound. All right, so now let's get into the second build-up. This sound is pretty much the same as this sound, except it's just at a slower rate. That's really it. Fake out. Ooh. All right. So, some more fun bits. So as we hear, there's this little fake out business going on. To do that little tape stop effect, all it is just the audio version of the drop with a fade out. It's a slowdown effect, so it creates like this. I kind of like that. It creates, it's almost like a perfect tape stop effect. And then now you get this new pattern that comes in. Let's start up here. Which is, I mean, same patch as the original drop of the FM Rhythm 5 bass, except it's going at a, I want to say it's going at a different rate or something to that work. But then you get like these stabs underneath right here to really kind of tease the next section right here, this little stab. Now, this is a whole different situation here. Well, it'd probably sound a little bit different if files was not missing. Thanks, Serum 2. Like I said before, there are, I think this is like one of those instances where I like take, if I like make a sound in Serum 2 and I drag the audio and re-sample it within the wavetable, that's what this is. It's considering it says SRM bass. That means it's a Serum bass, which is, it's something that I resampled from just dragging the audio from here and then putting it back in the wavetable. But it's not able to locate it for some reason because it's not an official audio file anywhere on my computer. So GG's. But anyway, I'll just talk about just the initial idea. There was a sound in here in the spectral wavetable here, and I gave it like a smear and a soft clip. And LFO1 modulated the smear a little bit, and it also modulated the noise level. LFO2 modulated something, most likely it's in the effects section. And if we go into the effects, there's a little bit going on. We got distortion, tube with a little bit of, a lot of drive, I should say, mixed all the way up. And we got splitter here, more focus on the highs. We got some more distortion. We got reverb, and then we have bode, which gives it that really metallic drop to it. So then we get this sound. Which is another sound that's teasing for the next section. This is a Virtual Riot Foley Kitchen sound that I put into the spectral wavetable here, and I gave it some formant and some positive and negative spread, which the scan is at 48%. So, and then essential sine wave that is phase distortion back to A little bit. And then we got a few things going on in the effects, but I will talk more about this when we get to this second drop right here, because it's actually in the second drop. So let's talk about it. I like that I like this little thing. Is like a halftime version of this already motif. So just to give more suspense to that. But let's get to these drops down here. So we got these two drops basically kind of doing like a call and response, Bonnie and Clyde layering situation. So let's start with the top one right here. So this is a Serum 2 preset here. There is a few things going on, not so much in the effects, but in the front page here. So first things first, we got. I actually used the sub oscillator. Can you believe it? So we got the sub oscillator on with direct out, and I used this more saturated bass right here, just for more of a thicker purpose. But to be honest with you, this is a layer, so this isn't even the one that has the sub in it anyway. But we also have the bleep fade, again, wavetable from the subscribers pack, the Vital subscribers pack. We have a saw wave, and then we have another bleep fade that is just going crazy right now. So this bleep fade has a two voice unison with a bit of detune. We have a phase distortion or a FM. It's FMing itself, and then there's also an FM from B. Um, that's happening right here, which LFO1 is modulating this FM from B knob. And it's FMing this saw wave that the level is at a 0%, which also the saw wave has a two voice unison as well. And then this LFO1 also modulates the cutoff in filter 1. And then LFO2 most likely is doing something in, I don't know what LFO2 is modulating, to be honest with you. Let me look. LFO2 is modulating, oh, main tuning. Oh, yeah, it gives the initial stab. Duh. So that's what LFO2 is doing. And then we have this bleep fade for our oscillator C. This one has a soft clip, it has a bit of a distortion, and a two voice unison as well with some detune as well. Nothing too special, but except this one is an octave higher. So that's pretty much it. And yeah, just a filter one that's pretty much affecting oscillator A through C. Uh, that's pretty much it on the front. And then in the effects section, some soft clip distortion drive at 100% as well as the mix. Equalizer to cut off high pass, the low end, and boost in the high shelf. And some more reverb with the size, a little bit of a 25% on size, 100% width, and around 20% of the mix right there. So that is what this sound is. But this sound kind of acts like a it acts like a melody in a way. So though it is a bass still, but I gave it a little bit of melody to it just to, it's not really much of a melody. It's kind of like it's just doing that. So now this bass. This is a powerful bass right here. The gritty stab. All right, let's get into it. The gritty stab. We got a few things going on here. So again, like I mentioned before, this bass was teased in the build-up. So this is, I used a Virtual Riot Kitchen double something sample. I put into the spectral wave table here. And again, gave it some formant, gave it a spread of 21%. I also, in the formant, I'm assuming this is like A all the way to U, like the vowels, like A, E, I, O, U. So this is kind of like in between the I and the O, somewhere right here. And then the spread, not much going on with the warp here, but I gave it a spread of 21%. This is 3 octaves high, but I think the original pitch of the audio is like around 1 to 2 octaves, I think, with a harmonic ratio on 1. Um, there is a two voice unison on here, which a little bit of detune. So there's that. The scan is at 48%, and then I have the sine wave here with this is a phase distortion towards A, and this level is off, but this is up by what, 58% or something like that. God damn, Serum 2 has too much depth. Yeah, there's so much, and this is just like, I'm not even like nowhere near like a deep dive, you know, surgically understanding how far you can push Serum 2. This is like some basic level stuff. I like Volca Key's hardware synth just for its simplicity. I mean, yeah, I've never heard of vocal keys, Volca keys. But you know, whatever that works for you, man. Like it don't whatever the listen, simplicity can get you some fantastic results. So you don't have to go all surgical with sound design. Sometimes, and most of the stuff that I'm doing in here, it's really simple, but it's just Korg. Oh, okay. Got you. Okay. Um, yeah, it's just, I've used Serum like my whole entire music career. So I'm so used to Serum 1. I got so familiar with Serum 1 that Serum 2, after like a week of messing around with it when it first came out, everything seems like very native to me. So that's probably why. Um, but in the effects section, we got some distortion here. We got an overdrive with two stacks on the overdrive. The drive itself is at nearly 80% and the mix is at 100. We got splitter again with some reverb on the high end. Uh, Plate mode, size, mix, same, you know, second verse, same as the first kind of situation. We got a convolver on here. This is big. This is caster big verb. This is a native factory um, impulse response that you'll find right here with some tweaks. I also have a ping pong delay on 16 milliseconds on the left and right. I love doing that in the sound design to give some more ear candy in the left and right ear. It's just fun to play around with. We got another reverb, except the size, there's no size, but there's a little bit of mix to give it that metallic ring, and multi-band compressor, and then an equalizer, a low boost, and a high shelf. So there's also a this LFO1 is modulating to the main tuning, aka the master tuning of the entire pitch of the preset, and I gave it this little sharp curve to give like a stabbing motion. Serum is the only VST you really need. I don't get why people buy Massive or anything like that. I only have Serum 1 and 2, Shaper Box, and some hardware synths plan to buy for Tracker for fun. You know, I have a theory about why people buy Massive and Vital and Phase Plant and all these other VSTs. It's simply because that before Serum 2, Serum 1 was already revolutionary on its own, right? It shaped the last 10 plus years of bass music completely because of its intricate sound design and its easy workflow. But the problem with Serum 1 is it was very limited, even though that sound design at the time was, still, you know, everybody was still exploring and discovering sounds with Serum 1 when it first came out in the last couple of years too. You have like these big name artists that started coming out with these master classes and stuff like that to really understand Serum 1. And a lot of people use Serum 1 for its basic operations, but then there are probably like some hidden features that they didn't know about Serum 1 that can get you like really cool sounds or cool effects or whatever the case may be. And that only was like a thing that people were talking about since these recent years. Like people are coming out with master classes and presets and stuff like that. So, but because now we've kind of used up Serum 1 to the point where it's almost as if like we really can't do more with it. I feel like a lot of people just migrated away from Serum 1 and got Massive X or the original Massive plugin or Phase Plant and or Vital. Yeah, Vital is free. Yeah, it's a free plugin, so I wouldn't really count that one. But it's a really cool plugin though. But I would say Phase Plant too because I think more producers are trying to find more freedom in their sound design by picking a VST that gives them almost unlimited access of functionality. And I think that's why a lot of people like plugins like FacePlant or even Massive and or Massive X or like Current. Current is another one. I'm trying to think of another VST, but now that Serum 2 is out, it's almost like all those people that went away from Serum, they're starting to come back to Serum. So it's like, like the sample and hold that's in Serum 2 now is something that's, I feel like it's heavily inspired by Phase Plan's sample and hold and or Ableton's sample and hold. Um, Definitely some inspirations across DAWs and VSTs. Can't wait for CM3 in 10 years. You know what? I honestly, what would Serum 3 even be? I feel like Serum if there is a Serum 3, I feel like that it I don't know how they would do it, but they would like it Serum 3 would damn near would be like Faceplant, except with the um encryption of the whole Serum protocol, right? So because this is kind of like Serum 2 is kind of like Faceplant in a way, except it's still limited compared to it, but there is some functionality though. Infinite oscillators. Yeah, that I was thinking that maybe like in the oscillator section, instead of having three, there's like this blank spot, and there's like a plus sign right here or right here, and you can just keep adding oscillators, whether it's going horizontally this way or you're just adding oscillators vertically down. So, and that means regular oscillators from these to the noise to the filter to the sub, all that stuff. Who makes Faceplant? Never heard. It's a VST plugin from a company called Kilohertz. I can show you what it looks like. Um, if I just go right here, here's Faceplant. This is what it looks like. So this is by Kilohertz. This is another fan favorite VST that a lot of producers use. As you can see, there's nothing going on because everything's empty. But in order to make sounds, you could add like analogs, you can add granulator, you can add noise, like a separate noise oscillator. It has its own sampler and it has its own wavetable, and you can pick between different wavetables. You can import your own wavetables. You can cross contaminate other wavetables from other VSTs and so on and so forth. Then you have these essential effects. These effects, if you go to Kilohertz website, all of these right here are free effects. You can download their I think it's like a 32 pack, 32 bundle of free effects. So you can get all these for free, but these premium effects you do have to pay for. Um, Also with multipass, Snap is free. So Snap is good because Snap is like a group effects chain plugin, and you can like create there's like 7 buses, and you can like create different groups of, like, if I take a comb filter and I can create like as many comb filters as I want, and you can modulate them to macros and do some really cool stuff with it. So, and that also goes with the same with these lanes. There's 3 different lanes that these analogs, you can route these lanes to lane 1, 2, 3, all that stuff. Then you have your modulators down here. This is where you'll find all your envelopes, LFOs, your curves, your sample and hold, pitch tracker, all this stuff that you can do with the modulators. To give you a prime example of why a lot of people like Phase Plant a lot is because its ability to just run wild with sound design and just create the most absurd sound that you can possibly think of. Like one in particular, I'm trying to look for one. Okay, like this is Sci-Fi Data 8. So if I just press something is not, oh, that's because this is not, there we go. So I just got like a regular sine wave here. Regular sine wave. I have 3 instances of Snap Heap, and I have a bunch of stuff going on that is affecting this simple sine wave. So yeah, it's like a dream. It's like a sound design playground of a VST. That's why a lot of people like it so much. You can make anything from basses to drums to, all kinds. You can even make like real life like there's a guy on Twitter that I've seen. He like recreates almost 100% perfect like live instruments like trombones, saxophones, even some percussions. It's crazy like how much you can do with this. So yeah, it's a fan favorite. You know what Tracker is from Native Instruments? Got interested because of the concept, but waiting for a potential summer sale. It usually is €100. Tracker? Yeah, I'm familiar with Tracker. I think I have. I don't have. I no, I got this, but let's see. Native Instruments. I got Contact, and I got this one. Contact. I think I can't remember what I have in Contact. I think Contact. I have this plugin called S Layer. And then here, I think I got a VST called Razor. So I forgot the name. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes that makes sense. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar. Um, I rarely use them only because that some of their plugins are kind of expensive, but um I do plan on expanding and getting more plugins through Native Instruments, especially in the Contact library, because I know that there's a lot of really cool orchestral sounds that I want to add into my music. So, um, but trying to see if I pretty much answered your question there. But but yeah, I mean, I like Serum too. I'm so used to it that it's just kind of my go-to. Serum 1 has been my go-to for years. VC VCV rack is free. Oh, okay. Cool. Nice. Okay, let's move on. There's a second layer right here that follows this pattern. Just to give it a little bit more oomph that's going on, so it sounds like this. All right, we are officially in well, this drop is technically the middle of the track, but we are officially uh more than past the middle of the track. So that means that there's less explaining that needs to be happened because we pretty much explained everything that's going on in the beginning, that now we're just going to see some repeats of stuff. So let's keep going. All right. The last drop. The last drop is short because I felt like if I were to do like another, like a B side, it would just be overstaying its welcome. So I just cut it off right here. But the last drop. Now the bass is still somewhat the same. It's just a little bit different. It's from the same patch, the FM Rhythm 4, but I also added another bass called FM Psy bass. So let's talk about this sound, which is a which is a bass, which is these two basses. Let's take a look. This is what if somebody combined dubstep with breakcore, not the anime DMB, the old school breakbeat, hardcore? It would be ADHD hell. You know, I thought about like dubstep and breakbeat put together. I wasn't thinking about the old school one. I was thinking of like just a regular, like, I guess modern breakbeat. I don't know if there's a such thing as modern breakbeat, but breakbeat is just breakbeat to me. But I was thinking like one day like how would you meld that together? Like how like rhythmically wise, like how would you kind of put that together? But I feel like somebody might do it. So um it would be very ADHD for sure because breakbeat, breakbeat doesn't just stay in one time signature. It can change time signatures throughout the entire sequence, which means that the bass would follow an interesting time signature. So I don't know. I feel like that's something that could be used for like a midsection for sure. Um, but for a main drop, I don't know. I don't know if someone have to really like intricately create such a drop that works well of a mix between those, especially if you're using old school breakbeats. Yeah. I feel like you couldn't really use any like real intense basses for that. I feel like you would have to calm the basses down a bit. I call modern post what sewer slut aftermath of people posting DMB as break. You know, that's a that's a good assessment. I like that. Posting DMB as breakbeat. Yeah, DMB is like it's like sort of like blurring the lines between DMB and breakbeat in a lot of tracks because there are some parts where it's like I don't know, like some people will call it DMB, like it's like a subgenre of DMB, some kind of breakcore. Like that's probably the best way to put it, I guess. Or if that's the official name, I don't know. But yeah, it's like a really blurred line. Like DMB isn't really my favorite genre, but I do appreciate some tracks, like Oliver's recent track, Rendezvous. That's a really good track, really good DMB track. But yeah, but the DMB that has like the breakbeat kind of like it's like more focused on percussion than it is the kick and snare, then it's okay. It's not really as hard hitting as I feel it should be, but you know, it's all right. I guess if done correctly, it's whatever. In the end, people can combine whatever sounds they like. That either results in noise or yet another effects twin level. Yeah, that's at the end of the day, people are gonna just make what they like and just call it whatever. You know what's weird? It's want to people are trying so hard in the scene at least to try to come up or be a pioneer of like a certain sound or a certain combination of sounds and try to coin it or something like that. Which something I don't get. Like, here's the thing. I'm not knocking the innovation and I'm not knocking trying to think outside the box. I heavily encourage that. But it's like, who like me personally, who cares? Who cares? If you coin or create a new sound, good for you. But it shouldn't be the desired thing. I would much rather hear a really well put together track with a solid idea. Doesn't matter if it's a new idea or an old idea, but as long as the intentions behind the track is something that you truly believe that you want to share, and it's something that you feel that resonates to a lot of people, then at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? So that's just me. But yeah, but that's a good point though. That's a really good point. Yeah, so this is same situation, same FM Rhythm 4, except just more of a plucky. I think it's LFO 3 that's doing the plucky sound. This is just a top layer. You have this you have this situation going on, which is a massive sound. So this is FM Rhythm 3. So not 4 or 5. This is Rhythm 3. The only difference with this one is the effects is still the same. It's just a different wavetable and a different kind of structure with the LFOs. I think it's envelope 2. Yeah, envelope 2 is like gives it the different structure, a different kind of shape with a quarter note, this little plateau looking shape right here. And we're using Corpus Bode phaser, which is from it's one of the vital tables that you yeah, one of Vital's tables, wave tables. So with a little bit of distortion tube and a slight movement in the wavetable position because I kind of like this part of the wavetable that gives it like this texture. So yeah, but everything else is pretty much the same um, parameters as the other FM Rhythm 4 and FM Rhythm 5 sounds. Effects is still the same, distortion, reverb, uh, little boost in the high end and all that stuff. That's the same. And same thing with the channel EQ, like just high passing the sides so that the lows can stay mono. So combined together, you get this sound. Sorry. And then you get like this, again, this tape effect that I like to do. And it switches to this. Your worst critic, your worst critic is yourself as an artist, and without ignoring it, on some level, you will never make anything and improve. I made utter crap today, and I'm still very much in the beginner side. I have to improve with something at least. Yeah, yeah, artists, we are our worst critics because once we've discovered something, it doesn't have to necessarily be in music, just in anything in life. Once we discover a passion or something that we like to do, and we see that we really like it and entertain it, and then somewhere down the line, we find that there is a career path that can take you, that this thing can take you down a career path. And then eventually you can make money and profit off of it. Then any small improvements along the way, all it does, it just boosts up your standards every time. So I remember when I was first starting out making electronic music, it was just a blank canvas. I was a blank canvas. I was just trying anything and everything. I didn't really pay attention to mix down or mastering or none of that stuff. I just thought making music was just putting sounds together. That's that's why I didn't know there was music. I didn't know anything about music theory. I didn't know anything about. The only thing I knew was that from the age of 8, I just knew how to play piano, but um I wasn't like what's it called, classically trained or anything. It was just playing by ear. Like I can just hear a chord or something like that and I'll figure out where the keys are. So, but then like as I got better at it and then when I started producing, then there's this standard that you start to hit every time. So like every release, you try to like hit those same standards, and at the same time, you try to exceed from your last release. So you're always trying to outdo yourself. So that's another thing. I think people try to become pioneers because they want to make something unique. I hate mainstream music with a passion, but literally everything that is unique gets nuked by clone. Dude, man, you're preaching to the choir, bro. I can't stand mainstream music. I swear, I can't stand it. The reason why I can't stand it, and here's the thing: it's not the artists themselves. I don't hate the artists. I just hate the system that they created with music because it has nothing to do with music. Mainstream music has nothing to do with music. It's just all business related. And the other thing is they take the creativity out of it and try to make standardized sounds. I feel like if all the artists in mainstream music wasn't under a label, they were all independent and they just made they just made the music that they felt that was genuine to them, it would sound 1,000 times better. Like it wouldn't be nowhere near these carbon copy of whatever. It's brainwashing another way. Yeah, it's very brainwashing. Yeah, it's not bad music. It just feels like the 90s Macintosh commercial. Oh my goodness. 90s or 80s, it don't matter, bro. I get what you're saying. Like, you know what I've noticed that in mainstream music, I noticed that there's a pattern, especially if there's like newer artists that are coming up onto the scenes. Anytime they release like a debut album or just another single from like whatever the single that blew them up in the first place, I noticed that disco music is like starting to kind of creep back in. Cause almost like in the pop music genre that is, disco music is starting to become a thing again. Um and I don't know where it comes from, but I mean it's not like disco that we've never heard. I mean we've heard these songs before. It's just, modernized, all that stuff. But I just feel like that's why I never want to really be in the mainstream space because everything just feel disingenuine. It doesn't feel like the music that they make, whether it's in pop, hip hop, R&B, whatever it is. I feel like that if it was up to the artist and not the label saying or whoever is saying, "Oh, this track sounds good, but it would be better if you said this," or "It would be better if you wrote this verse here." If it was just up to the artist and they just went with their genuine intuition, I feel like that music would be a lot better. And I feel like the relatability would be even higher. And you can genuinely see the emotion and experience behind why they made the song in the first place. Now, some mainstream artists do end up becoming independent eventually, but it takes them a while to get there. But that's why, like, that's why, like, I always kind of view music as just personal experiences and or creating creating worlds that maybe you are curious about and wondering what those worlds would sound like if they had their own theme song. That's kind of like how I approach music. I like to create worlds in my head that like different realms and stuff like that, and just try to figure out like what kind of frequency and what kind of sound would this realm be like in my head. But yeah, especially if you're starting out, man, it's always going to be. But you have to always remember too to have fun with it. Like that's the most important part. You have to have fun making music. You can't just make music and be like, "Oh, I'm making music because this is the only path that I know to make money and all that stuff." You have to have fun. You have to love the music that you make at the same time. You could be your worst critic, yes, but if you don't love what you make, then it's just like, why are you still making it that way? Um, Finland has very bad situation of people listening to radio songs, not from the radio, but in their lecture. And I see people who say they're the best. I don't judge, but it feels like they haven't seen the whole musical spectrum, or they don't really like music, or just fitting in. You know, there are music has a lot of different categories in order to have a music job. Yeah, you know what's crazy? Like when I think of pop music, Pop music is dead ass. Pop isn't even a real genre if you think about it, because pop just means popular, right? It's just popular. If anything, they should have just called it trend music. If anything, because pop could be hip hop, it could be R&B, it could be, it's just whatever that's popular. That's really it. So, yeah, music is so it's such a broad umbrella of different genres, cultural experiences, whatever it is. They I mean, you know what I'm saying? So, bro, MJ should have done that. Fair enough. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Michael Jackson, look, Michael Jackson is such an icon. It's like so crazy. Then there's TikTok, literally funk in a nutshell. How did funk music even come about? Because yeah, I think it was I knew it was from TikTok, but I just remember hearing it from an artist named Sonar, and I was like, "What's funk music?" So then, but I know it's like I think it's from Brazil. I think that's where funk originated from. I think it's from Brazil, I believe. I could be wrong. I know there's Brazilian funk music. I know that, so I'm assuming that. But then they wouldn't call it Brazilian funk. It'll just be funk if it's native. Um, but yeah, funk. He sure he sure is more than an icon. Oh, dude. Dude, you know what I hate? I hate when people compare mainstream artists to Michael Jackson as if like simply because of like, oh, like Drake. Drake is one, right? They'll often say Drake is like the modern day Michael Jackson. Drake surpassed my it's like, first of all, you can't talk about Michael Jackson and compare him to Drake. Drake? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You have to keep in mind, people don't realize what that man has done for the music industry and at the time that he did it. This is before social media. This was before streaming. Like he did this incredible thing during a time where you still had to go out and sell CDs. It was word of mouth. Like you had to he had his concerts were so crazy. You're talking about 5,000 people passing out every night. Like, did Drake say he surpassed the Beatles? I don't know if he surpassed the Beatles. The Beatles was a big band too, but look, Drake, I'm not taking away from what Drake has done as an artist and for the industry. I'm not knocking him for that. The comparison is crazy because Drake got his popularity um towards the beginning of social media, like through in the early 2000s. Like he he's like a modern day huge icon today for sure, but to compare him to Michael Jackson or let alone even the Beatles, like they were icons at a time that nobody today could even like try to get that popular and that polarizing of a star without social media. Like social media is the reason why people get popular today. That's really it. If there was no social media, it would be a lot harder to get your name out there. A lot harder. And the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Prince, any of these iconic Elvis, all these iconic people, they got their popularity through radio. They did bunches of interviews. They've done a bunch of talk shows. They spread the word with flyers and CDs and all this stuff. Like people couldn't do that today. They Drake couldn't do that today. I mean, in the early 2000s, maybe the early 2000s was like the last time where you needed physical copies of CDs. That was the last time. So he probably did a little bit of that, but then, the rise of social media like took over and changed the dynamics of popularity. So now it's like you don't even have to sell CDs no more. You can just put up a post on Instagram and a lot of people just follow you. You can promote on Snapchat, you can promote on Instagram, you can promote on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, all this stuff. Like social media is like a booster. So Skrillex's name is literally a gamer tag or something says a lot about social media. I mean, yeah, Skrillex, he's another one, man. I mean, Skrillex, he he's he's goated, bro. Now, granted, was I a fan of Skrillex when I first heard of him? No, because at the time I didn't. I heard about Skrillex like in middle school. I didn't know anything about electronic music at the time. I was like, what is this? Like, I really, my exact words I think was like, this sounds stupid. And this was like him writing Scary Monsters. Like, it was like back in 2000, like what, 11, 12. I literally thought what I heard at the time was stupid. And now, years later, here I am making the very thing that I thought it was stupid. So, but but yeah, like he's another one. Like he's really goated. But I think why Skrillex is so popular with that is because Skrillex, alongside with other pioneers, like I believe Scream is one. Um, I haven't listened to Skrillex to be honest. I don't really get it. You know, I didn't get it either. But because I listened to dubstep and EDM in general, and then I listened back to Skrillex, Scary Monsters, Night Sprites EP, Noisia, yeah, Noisia. When I listened back to it and listened to like how dubstep used to sound and how he kind of made it in his own way to the point where it got recognized, even the Academy, the Grammys recognized it. Uh, there's like a deeper appreciation of why he why I feel like he's goaded to me. He's not my favorite artist. Skrillex isn't my favorite artist, but I can recognize when people created a stepping stone for a lot of other people to follow. So, and I'm not saying Skrillex, he's a pioneer popularizing the genre, but he's not like the first to do it. So, but he did it in such a way that's so masterful that listening back to it, it's like a nostalgia thing. Even though it's so dated, but Prodigy is one example of a bedroom producer without social media, only raves, etc. Without social media, only raves, etc. Yeah, like, yeah, kind of. It's the same thing. Like I think of like people like Marshmello. I think of Marshmello too, even though he's not really more. I mean, he's kind of making a dubstep more now, but he's still making like that happy trap, melodic trap based situation. Like it's kind of like the same thing with him too. Just a bedroom producer that just made like a very catchy tune and it just caught on. So even like with years of making music beforehand that people didn't really know about. So um yeah, it's you know, I just understood I understand the deep appreciation of where it all kind of modern dubstep kind of like stemmed from, like people like Skrillex or Nausea or Scream or even Excision even. I'll even give Excision that because before he kind of became stale, he his first three albums was incredible. So I mean, something that he was like very versatile back then. So you know, but I guess to each his own. Everybody has their own takes on it. My brain hurts by thinking of that cylinder-shaped surface music maker. Cylinder-shaped surface music maker. I don't know what that is. What is that? Cylinder shaped. I feel like I'm missing a beat here. What is that? Oh, Mel. See, flew over my head. I knew something flew over my head. My brain. Oh, your brain hurt. A lot of people wonder like why Marshmello got so popular because his music is so simple. It's so simple. Like any, and I'm not, and I don't hate Marshmello. I enjoy his music a lot actually. I'm not like a big fan of his music, but I do like every year there's at least one Marshmello song I like. So though the production is very minimal, but that's just what it is. You know what it is? I don't know. I don't think it's really the music per se that people like. I think it's just the brand that he came up with, like this happy stop the look. No, that look. I do like Mello. I do like I have one of his songs on my playlist, World Apart. I forgot who's the collaborator vocalist. But that's such a good song. I just love the vocals in that one. The drop is very simple, but I just love it. I like sonically how it sounds. So Mellow, he has some really good songs, but am I impressed by them? No. Am I, you know, is it like the quickest thing? Is it like something that I can't wait to click on? No. Um, but some of his songs can be catchy. So, um, but it's just like it's just one of those things where I guess I'm just guessing he's the type of producer that just doesn't take music that serious to the point like, you know, how like underground artists are so fixated on mix downs and so fixated on like surgical sound design. Um, he's just kind of like, I'm just making whatever that sounds good to me. And when you have that mentality, it's just like, nothing else really matters. That's like a prime example of what I think most producers should have. That mentality of just making whatever and forget what people think about it. I mean, yeah, people can give their feedback and can say whatever. But at the end of the day, if you like it, then that's all that matters. If you like the sounds that you display, then that's all that really matters. So this is kind of a hot take, but when anime takes over some subculture like music genre, it becomes infested with weeb with weeboos, weeaboos, what? Or their culture, weebawoos, weeb weeaboos. Is that like a bass sound that you spelled out? Like weebs. Oh, okay, okay. Anime fans. Okay, I got you. I got you. It becomes infested with anime fans. Um, yeah, over obsessed anime. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't necessarily bother me per se. If like anime takes some subculture of a music genre and then make it their thing, and then the anime, uh, I guess anime fans, anime nerds, whatever you want to call them, just like overly obsessed over it, and it just like yeah, I can see the frustration. I mean, I don't know. Like, you could look at it that way, or you can look at it as, that's one way to shine light on a genre that mainstream doesn't really, you know, look at, or it's a way of appreciation of the subculture of the genre. Now, would one say it's like cultural appropriation? I have no idea. But if, if some group of people want to like show appreciation towards a culture of a music genre and make it in their own way, I mean, I don't technically see nothing wrong with that. In a way, it's kind of like uh that's a type of innovation in a way. It's like taking something that already exists, but then making it in your own way. Although it may have a bunch of upset over obsessive fans that backs up this movement, but um I mean, I would much rather that to happen than the genre or the culture not getting any recognition at all. Anime fans can be kind of crazy, but the anime itself is not bad. Yeah, yeah. I don't think he was saying like the anime itself is bad. I think he was just talking about just the fans themselves. Anime fans, they are who we here's the thing, right? I've watched anime growing up, right? I didn't watch all of them. I just watched the ones that I like, right? And I felt like that, especially in middle school, my friends and I were like the only ones that liked anime, and it wasn't even popular. Like it wasn't that popular in America like that. Not really. Um, no, listen, they're almost like a cult. No, no, you're dude. I know, bro. I know. Anime fans, the anime culture, the anime community is a cult for sure. Like there are I can't tell you like how many TikToks I've seen debate like debates about who can take out who got who in different animes, like in Bleach or in Naruto or in Code Geass or whatever. It's like, yo, this guy will definitely murk blah blah blah. Like it's like the same kind of obsession with like Marvel and DC fans. Same kind of thing. Like it's insane. Um I mean, yeah, anime is art as any other animation, but the Gunnar level, especially the Gunnar, the Gunnar level, especially the underage shit. Yeah, that part is like anime has gotten the art itself is amazing, but they got to chill. They got to chill on some of these characters. It's like it's unnecessary. Like nowadays, I feel like anime nowadays, I don't know about like the mainstream anime shows or whatever, but nowadays they over sexualize everything. Even in battles. I've seen like clips of like battles that I don't know from some anime show, and the camera angles that they choose for these battles, like the camera angles that they draw for these battles, for some of these is kind of crazy. And the underage shit, yeah, that's I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with that. I don't know what they're doing with that. I just kind of leave I leave shit alone. Anime is made for selling gooning stuff. I feel like nowadays it is for sure. Yeah, I'll even say back then too, because back then people could get away with a lot more stuff back then, so it wasn't even that, But nowadays, yeah, nowadays for sure. Uh, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not necessary. You don't have to hypersexualize everything. Like you guys like and it's not even just in anime. It's like in damn near every show. Every show, movie, TV show, like they're sexualizing everything. It's like y'all gotta chill out, bro. Like chill. It's not even that serious. What happened to just writing an original story with character development, cliffhangers that will put you to the edge of your seat? What happened to just writing a really good storyline? Even if it's like an anime that's like a romantic anime or some stuff, whatever happened to just writing a romantic story that has more to do with the heart and less to do with the body? You know what I'm saying? Like what love should be and not what it it's displayed as nowadays. Like they sexualize everything. That's why I just like don't watch. I don't watch anime, and I stopped watching anime a long time ago, but only because because some of them are just kind of like the storylines are pretty much repeats of other shows that I've seen before. But now that and then the culture has gotten like super large to the point where it's like anime with a good story are still out there. Yeah, but you know, very little of them. Do English speakers have the saying, all of my close ones and myself would have been, hold on, this is a word I haven't seen before, lobotomized, if we lived in the 60s, came to mind from getting away with stuff in the past. You know, I've never heard that saying. If all of my close ones and myself would have been lobotomized, if we lived in the 60s, came to came to mind from getting away with stuff in the past. You know, when I see a word that I haven't seen before, you know I gotta look it up. I don't know what the hell that word means. What does that mean? Versus someone who has undergone a lobotomy, a now obstacle, a now obsolete medical procedure. Oh, I see. Okay, it's a medical procedure. Which parts of the brain, usually the frontal lobe, were surgically damaged or removed in an attempt to treat a mental illness, loss of personality, emotion, or mental sharpness. How you not heard of the word lobotomized? You know, Cosmic, there's a lot of there's a lot of words that I haven't heard simply because that I'm not in gatherings and conversations often for people to use. There's not a situation where that word is used in my social gathering. There's not a there's not a story or a relatable topic that somebody would use that word. So that's why I haven't heard it before. If you're just mentally gone and you're slow, we just call you a dumbass. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't like lobotomy was used to treat basically everything that was out of the norm. Have you heard of the war? You have heard of the word aura though, have you, huh? You know what? I hate that fucking word. Aura. They took a regular word and made it into a buzzword for no reason. Aura, I hate that word. I hate it. I hate aura. I hate Riz. I hate fine shit. That's just stupid. I hate all these buzzwords. And it's like the young generation. That's their young. It's the younger. I'm 27, so I'm still young. But the younger generations, like 2005 to 2010 kids, love to use that word. Like I hate those words. I feel like the yeah. Oh my god, man! Like that one. I hate that one too. They took and that word originally came from black folks and they made it into this buzzword and we didn't even say it like that. It was just us saying god damn, like it was just like, you know what I'm saying, like they took that word and made it anyway. That word is way too dumb. Not like I hate these words, bro. And the thing is, all these words that they're taking and making them buzzwords or whatever, they're like, I'm '05 and I haven't used unironically any of those. I look, I don't use any of those words. None of those words are in my vocabulary. They're not. I I understand that those words are for the now I was talking about fine shit. Yeah, that word, yeah, no, like that word, I don't know where it came from or who said it. Oh, I hate that word too. The that I know what you're talking about. The I'll say like the Liberty toilet word. I have nephews. Cosmic, I've told you about my nephews. They boy, they use those words all the time. Even POV. My nephews, they say every time they tell me something, they always say like POV me doing X, Y, like doing whatever. Like POV, like stop it. Stop it. Like what are we talking about? But you know what? I understand because that's their word, like that's it's the younger generation's vocabulary. So, and this is I feel like people who were born in like in the 80s and they look at the 90s and they thought we were stupid, and then like the 90s look at the early 2000s, and now the 2000s are going to look at the 2010s. It's like, okay, I have to give that I say POV often too. POV is I mean I get it though, like it's a generational thing, but it's like if you use it in a sentence without abbreviations and just say it as it is, point of view me doing it doesn't make sense grammatically. So it's like, what are you what are people saying? Like POV grammatically doesn't sound correct. Point of view me doing that, like that doesn't make any sense. Like that's another one. Like everybody use like. Like is such a filler word. I don't hate it, but it's just like it's see, like is such a word that it's nowadays it's hard to say a sentence without using the word like. You know, it's such a filler word. I try to stop using like too, and it's hard. In conversations, it just flies off the tongue, no problem. But you know, I mean, I'm 97, I'm a 97 baby, so we we're still old heads. We got our own terminology. Like I'm not gonna lie, my coworker, I will go to him and ask him what do certain words mean because my coworker he's 24. He's 24, and even though he's only 3 years younger than me, he's more up to date with these words than I am. Now, granted, there are some things that there are some words that he don't know either, but he's still more up to date. I have to ask him. Think about the fact that someone said that young people can't speak without saying like. No, it's some real shit. People really can't speak, have a full conversation without using the word like and and I mean like is what about LOL and OMG? Yeah, yeah, that's enough. I think those are just more text fillers than just saying that. I hate when they say lol, like LOL, but they actually say it like lol. But they don't laugh. Never mind. What about Sigma? Sigma, I hate that word. I hate that word. I hate that word. The only Sigma that needs to be the only reason Sigma needs to exist is that if you're joining a frat or a sorority. Kappa, Alpha, Sigma, something. Sigma or Sigma Face, Giga Chad. They need to stop. I hate those words, bro. That's another one that's not in my vocabulary. Oh my lord, my nephews they used. My nephews are funny though. They they love doing this. It's called a Sigma face. I guess I don't know what it really is, but if I have to take a wild guess, it's like the fancy. It's like the if you've ever watched SpongeBob, it's like this episode with Squidward where he like turns handsome Squidward. That's what it's called. But it's also I call it the light skin face. So light skin folks when they take pictures, they always do like this face. What if imagine board slang was used in the streets? The streets won't be the same. The streets will be soft. I would not take anybody serious in the streets. Like imagine if a gang ran up on you at night, robbing you. He gonna talk about some like he gonna say I'm trying to think of like a perfect sentence. Like he runs up on you, windows down. He said POV me trying to take this bag away from you, lol, or something like that. It's like you you trying to do what? For the lols, be me. Yeah, the streets won't be the same. But, you know, you said what now? Are you asking me, Cosmic, or are you asking schizophrenia? Is that how you say your name, by the way? Schizophrenia? Interesting. Yeah, these slangs, man. All these words gotta go. That's a good play on words. No, I asked you. What are you confused about? Did I say something crazy? Did I say something crazy? If I did, it is what it is. LMO, no. Alex, you something different, bro. I I was playing about what you would say POV part. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If somebody was robbing you and they say POV me trying to take your cash and something like that, yeah, no, I get what you're saying now. I'll be appalled. I'll be like, first of all, this ain't even a real robbery. What are you talking about? Like, nah, nah. This yo, imagine thugs using these words. The streets will be cleared. Streets will be empty. Like, ain't no way, my boy. Dude, I forgot I was still doing a breakdown. I'm still do. I mean, I'm at the tail end. I'm pretty much at the tail end. I kind of thought if schizophrenia was a little too offensive, I consistently make new channels and invent names for them. But I hope I don't delete this this impulsively too. Uh, I mean, I don't see how it's offensive. I mean, I get like it's a play on words on schizophrenia, but Dude, have you seen some of the artist names? Like artists that have these interesting names. Like I think you're good. I think you're fine, bro. You constantly make new channels and invent names for them. Is there a reason why you do that? Like, do you make different? Is it just are you like constantly changing the names of one channel, or are you just making multiple ones for different purposes or something like that? Like, why do you have to make new channels all the time? I don't lost track of where I was with this breakdown, but I'm pretty much I delete and make a new one. Oh, I see. Just for just for fun. Oh, there is one more. Oh, I was right here. I don't really know. I'm kind of impulsive. It's all right. Sometimes you just gotta do shit to do shit. It's all right. Do we really need an answer? We don't really know. What? Why do we do the things we do? Okay, just a final stretch. Final stretch. Just a quick rundown of this last sound. Same thing. FM bass rhythm three. Except I'm just changing the. I'm just giving it a little bit of a melody at the bottom here, and then the drop pretty much repeats from here, and then let's just go ahead and listen to the outro. The outro is pretty much the same as the intro. So, yep, and that's the entire breakdown of Thermashock. Very simple idea, but powerful effect. Asperger's, and people constantly shout that I am schizo and more specifically borderline person. I see that kind of. I haven't been diagnosed with BPD, but I know that it has to be more than just Asperger's. Oh, well, I mean, if you get diagnosed or if you get checked up, you'll eventually know. So, I mean, what's the symptoms of being schizo or have Asperger's? I had a friend, well, he's passed. He passed young. He was like around, I think he was like 20. Let's see, if I'm 27, he would have been 26. He would have been 26. But he passed about like a few years ago, like 3 years ago. He had Asperger's, and and really cool friend. But I don't know like what the symptoms are for those. Um, let alone schizo. I mean, schizo, I kind of have an idea of what those symptoms are, but I don't know like all of them or like what the borderline symptoms are. Is like being impulsive one of them? It's a cool sound the ice made. I can't hear it, but the ice in my cup made like a really cool tonal sound. I would record it, but it's too low of a sound. Uh-oh. But anyway, this is so this is Thermashock track breakdown. Um, if you haven't checked out the track, check it out. It's really cool, really fun, very energetic, very high energy, very bass, very heavy. This would be like a good like track to work out in if you're really trying to get those gains or just to dance all over the house with. It's hard to seek help when you constantly change opinions on things like opinions on using meds, professional healthcare people, etc. CPS make a child grow up to be like this. So are you like so you mentioned CPS. So so are you saying like are you like in like the foster care or whatever, or are you just saying like in general CPS make children who are in foster care grow up to be like that? Like the meds part, like I bet that's frustrating. I bet that is frustrating for the meds part. CPS in Finland, they usually result in broken adults. I mean, it's somewhat the same in the States too, but it's kind of like broken adults that have severe trauma, that has no sense of, I wouldn't want to say no sense of direction, but just like some of them, not all, but some of them grow up without any love and nurturing. They always are in fight or flight mode. They're always in uh survival mode. Like it's like taking your childhood away, you know. You know, I mean, and that's the sad part too. Yeah, like not being able to grow up to be a kid and just being in that system. It's I don't know anything about that world, but I can only imagine like how some of these kids that grow up to be broken adults or just grow up to be adults, maybe not as broken, but still dealing with what they're dealing with. I can't even imagine, bro. That's such a I feel like there has to be like a system put in place or something, some kind of solution to kind of end that, to not let these kids grow up to be these broken adults. Like give them a shot of having a childhood and being a kid and having fun, being able to dream, have imagination. My damn, what the fuck? Did you hear that voice crack, my boy? Mine has resulted in the fact that I don't believe in reality today, literally. Today I discovered that reality has no proof of existing. I mean, I come from a different mindset. Um, I come from a mindset with a religious background. So, um, but I mean, if you know, if that's how you see the world, then I mean, that's valid. Everybody, everybody will see the world differently based off of experiences and based off of what they see. So, um, some people don't believe that reality is exist. Some people believe that we live in a simulation. Some people believe that reality do exist. Um, some people, I mean, I believe reality exists, based off of personal experiences and um, all that in between. Um, but it's just all based off of what people see. So you know, it's kind of crazy. People can see something and say they see one thing that happened, and there's two people that witness that same thing, but they'll still see two different things. Like, say, hypothetically, there was a car accident. See, one car hit another car, and there's two people that witnessed. They saw both the cars collide. I don't know if I don't know if I even speak to you, or do I follow pre-programmed pattern of life. I don't know if there is end to existence. Even if I die, do I perceive something in some way? You know, the reality of that is that you can't you have to go based off of what you see and what you believe. Don't take my word for anything, because I believe what I believe based off of my personal experience and based off of what makes sense to me, right? And I know that we live in a world that people program people to believe in certain things, whether that is history, science, believe in the way of life, like people should work until the day they die, people shouldn't become, wealthy, shouldn't become free, whatever. Or, you know, you don't people are going to interpret life in so many different ways that you have to just go on that journey on your own and figure that part out. I can easily say that um, the fact that you can't prove if you are existing as a being is this, and same to me, I can't prove that I exist to you. Well, I mean, that all goes based off of definition of what is existence. Okay, like, all right, all right. Here's an example, right? Can you prove to me that the days of the week exist? One would say, yeah, of course. Based off of what evidence? Well, we have a calendar. Okay. A calendar that could be easily changed. A calendar that could, like a calendar that has a leap year. A calendar that, you know, does existence exist? Well, existence would have to exist in order. That is where I end up. Existence, in my eyes, in my opinion, I can't speak for no one else, but in my opinion, existence would have to exist, because if it didn't, then nothing would be here. Existence is proof of something that is here. That's what existence is. Proof of something is here. So if existence doesn't exist, then nothing would exist. So I I believe that existence do exist. Now, there are certain entities and certain things in life where we can prove existence and we can't prove existence, right? If you go from a scientific standpoint, scientifically, you can prove if something exists based off of evidence. And then you would ask, well, what is evidence? Evidence is the history of something that once was, right? So if you have evidence of something that once was, then that means whatever that is had an existence in a period of time, right? So this is just how I look at the world. You don't even have to look at it from a religious aspect. You can look at it from a scientific or a historical aspect. So, and life is such a complicated, it's a complicated system. It's nothing that's linear. It's like there's different lenses of life depending on how you look at it. You can look at life in one way while somebody look at it another way. You can look at life, this might sound selfish, but I think that the only experience I can prove is my perception of reality. To do so, so do people even exist outside my experience? Of course. Of course. People people that you'll never meet in your entire life, they're still there. They're just in a different they're in a different experience, right? They're in a different uh story than yours. But people are still there. One would say they would ask the same question about their existence and saying like, do you exist even though you're across the pond and you're thousands of miles away and we've never met? But just because someone is not in your reality, that doesn't mean they don't exist. Actually, there's a pretty good chance that someone exists if you just think about them, even though you don't know who they are. But the thing is, if I say this to you, I might just get pre-programmed answer made up by my fake illusion of reality. Well, yeah, you can think of it that way. The illusion of your reality. There's two things that I often think about. Like, there's the reality, and then there's people living in their own illusion. Like, you ever thought about how people thought of you versus how do you think of yourself? Because one would say, well, I'm myself 24/7. So of course I know how I am. But the pers but the different perspective the perspective from somebody else's eyes and how they see you can be completely different. But is it because they see you different based off of their biased opinion about themselves and how they see things? Or is it because of what you're projecting and what you want them to see? Because there is two realities to that. The reality is you feel that you are X, Y, and Z, but that's your reality. But that's somebody else's illusion. But their reality that they're in their eyes, the reality is you are A, B, and C. But that's your illusion. So it's like either way you look at it, you're living in someone's reality or someone's illusion. But it's not up to you to decide on which end of the spectrum you're on. If you're in the reality of others or in the illusion of others. As long as you understand what your reality is, right? Then that's all really that matters. Your reality, your experiences, to an extent, I should say, to an extent. Because there are some things that even people who make up their own reality can't be, you know, can't be a common shared experience. This would be endless. This would be endless conversation if I continued. The thing I tried to tell is not in bounds of words, this world or anything. And I don't know it either. We're not obligated to know because this isn't, we didn't create this life, we didn't create this world. The concept I try to tell has no words. I mean, that's fine, but I get where you're coming from, though. I get where you're coming from. See, you're like a deep thinker. Like you, like we live in a world nowadays where we have to question everything because we've been, hey, we the best music though. DJ Salad. Alex, are you done with uni? I think you told me. I can't remember if you told me that. Told me or not. Yes, but I'm doing finals right now. Okay. Why you at when is so do you have fun? Wait, what's today? Friday? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Never mind. It's the weekend. I was just about to say, it's like, why are you still up? But it's the weekend. So the last thing I got with my thinking was that I could do anything and the result would be worthless. Because I'm planning to start my essay now. Oh, I see. Got you. So when does the finals start? Next week? Or is it tomorrow or something? Like uni is different. Uni schedules are different. I never went to university or college, so I have no idea like how the scheduling works. Oh, and to say to peek to comment on you can do anything and the result will be worthless. I mean, that's your mindset. If you think your results will be worthless, then that's what you think. That's what you believe. My assignments are due in June. Oh, you got wait, how many assignments do you have? Due in June? I mean, we got a few weeks, ain't it? How many assignments do you have, and is it like the beginning of June or at the end of June? I'm too scared to. You got that much assignments, bro? How many you have? 30? 30 assignments, one assignment per day? Let me ask, is the number high to the point where you cannot procrastinate? Watch like the assignments be like 90. Jesus. University is crazy. They'll let you bullshit for a whole semester, and then once finals come, they just hit you with a bunch of shit. No day, listen, I have a lot. I think I remember you telling me this. I think I remember you saying that towards the last minute they just hit you with everything during finals. Might as well be. Damn, 90. Damn, you got that. Whoo. Bro, how are you on the live right now? How are you, how are you on the live right now? Bro, you're gonna have to buy like about like 40 packs of mechanical pencils or pen, whatever you use. You're gonna run out of ink before June, bro. You're gonna either run out of ink or lead and run out of eraser shavings. You're gonna run out of every. Not enough papers are gonna be not enough. You couldn't even save enough trees to finish the assignments that you have. Damn, it's almost 3 hours I've been on live. It's crazy. You got seven. This man here. Are they like essays or something? Are they like long essays? 7 assignments. Psh, finish that in 1 week. Probably not. Probably not. Probably like 2 weeks. 2 weeks maybe. Are they like writing assignments? My coworker, he has some assignments that he has like a 5-page essay to write. Bless his heart. I can't stand essays, man. In school, you got 3 essays. Jesus. I can't stand essays, man. And we're not talking Hispanic, bro. I can't stand essays in school, man. Like, I cannot write to save, like, I can write, but it's like, I get so bored so quick, so fast. Most of them are written work. Okay. I mean, that doesn't sound too bad. I mean, the 3 essays, best of luck. But I guess that doesn't sound too bad. Since you got a whole month, it's doable. It's doable. Uh, You just want to work on. Man. Well, my assignments got to come first, bro. The assignments have to come first before you work on the project. If you know what, just do those assignments in the morning, and then you can work on music afterwards. Since you don't have to, I'm assuming since you're out of uni, you can just work on them in the morning. Take an hour or two out of your day in the morning, knock them out. Well, knock out as much as you can, and then boom, back in Ableton you go. That's what I would have done at least. So I still have the whole day to myself. I wish I can go live tomorrow morning, but I have to work tomorrow. I don't normally work on Saturdays, but it's a busy week. It's gonna be a busy next 2 months. So Lord, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy that we're busy, but it just all happened so quick. There wasn't no like gradual getting busy. It was just like we were just like completely dead, slow, and then busy. Like just hit us like a ton of bricks. But anyway, let me get off this live, man. Let me get off this live so I can so I can have time to wake up early in the morning. But I do appreciate you guys joining the live. So I don't know what's up with my voice tonight. My voice has been cracking. I mean, our voice cracks all the time anyway, so it's all right. But yeah, thank you guys for checking out the Thermashock walkthrough. If you guys want to see exactly how I make the track from start to finish, like watch me do it in real time, then just go on my previous lives. I labeled them Thermashock. I think there's 3 parts, like a 3-part situation. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard the song, go check it out. It's out now, available everywhere. I was thinking about doing like a little mini sample pack, like a Thermashock sample pack, something. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, I will see you guys next time, and I hope you guys have a good night. Shout out to you, Cosmic. Oh, you know what? If you haven't heard, hold on. Since I got my boy in the chat with me, if he's still here, there is something I need to put you guys on. Right here. Look. Hold on. Because y'all sleeping. Y'all sleeping right now. Cosmic Fluid, he has a whole brand new album. Lord of the Dark Spells. It's a part of a huge lore that he's working on. This also released last Friday, and me and him have a collab on it. Track 5, The Hollow's Hostage. So, y'all go show some love. Go show some love to his album, man. It's a really masterful craft. This thing, he's worked on this album for 3 years. I know because I remember the first iteration of the entire album when he started working on it, all the way to the finished product. So he has a really dope album that came out last Friday. Go check it out too as well. We also have a collab together as well. Really dope project, 15 tracks, nothing but glorious sounds. You're talking about cracked sound design. This guy, he's the real deal. So go check out his album too. Like, it's really, really cool. But anyway, that's enough of that. I will see you guys next time. Take care. You have yourself a good night, and I will see you guys next time. Dane is out. Peace.